So before we discuss about Bernie Sanders and his policies, I want to give a brief info about communism, socialism and capitalism. Since lot of people call Bernie a communist and socialist, but not many people know what does communism and socialism even mean. First we'll start with communism. Google's definition of communism is a theory or system of social organization in which all property is owned by the community and each person contributes and receives according to their ability and needs. In simple words, communism's goal is to create an equal society where there is no rich and poor, everyone is treated equally, no one owns private possessions, everything around them is shared by the entire community. In theory, communism has a very pleasant ideology. It is very pure and genuine in its thought. But the harsh reality is, humans are in that pure and genuine. Humans, even though they talk about equality, won't actually accept a society where everyone is regarded as equal. A society where garbage collector, doctor, teachers, astronauts, politicians, everyone having equal salary or equal social status is not something which people will accept it, especially people with higher power and higher social status. Humans have a tendency to gain power. They want to be more wealthy than others. They want to have control over others. So a society where everyone is regarded as equal is not something which everyone will accept it, even though everyone will talk about it. So the countries which had implemented communism failed to execute it, mainly due to corruption, since people of higher power and social status did not accept everyone having an equal social status, and this led to poverty and violent social conflicts. Even today, the countries which are regarded as communist states like China, people have the right to own private properties like housing and land. People can even start a business. So there is no country which is purely communist. Second is capitalism. Google's definition of capitalism is an economic and political system in which a country's trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit rather than the state. In simple words, society is mainly controlled by private-owned companies rather than the government. Capitalism has its advantages, like capitalism's main driving force is competition. In order to outshine the competitors, private companies will either create better products or cheaper products. Competition also leads to innovation. People get creative. People come up with different ideas to stand out among others. Capitalism creates a competitive society where everyone tries their best to be better than others, which helps in development of society. But capitalism has its disadvantages as well. Like private-owned companies won't be concerned about the environment. They won't care that the pollutants which they release in air or in water bodies have negative effects on the environment. People who work in coal mines or chemical factories can be affected by the chemicals. They can get diseases, but they won't be much concerned about their well-being unless they are pressured to do so. Also, since capitalism is all about competition, everyone wants to hire the best person for the job. And this is very understandable. But this can be a disadvantage to people who are unable to find a job, either due to low education or due to disabilities. Some people, get unfair treatment due to their race, their gender, their sexual orientation, their appearance, or their nationalities. Some people get more opportunities than others, and this leads to social inequality, where some people can turn into billionaires whereas some people don't have enough money to buy food also. Third one is socialism. Socialism is somewhere between communism and capitalism. Google's definition of socialism is a political and economic theory of social organization which advocates that the means of production, distribution and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. In simple words, socialism believes that society should be run by the government instead of private-owned companies. Socialism is implemented differently in different countries. The main thing is in socialist states has combination of government organization and private organization. In socialist states, people can start their own business, people can own private possessions, they can take advantage of capitalism, but there are also government organizations for people who need it. Like for example, I am from India. In India, we have private hospitals as well as government-owned municipal hospitals. Private hospitals will charge depending on their facilities and their location. Government hospitals are mainly for the poor, people who cannot afford private hospitals. They are given medical treatment at an affordable rate or sometimes at a free rate as well. So in short, communism, socialism and capitalism are not inherently bad. It all depends on the execution and the people who are in charge of it. Now let's talk about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders or Bernard Sanders was born on September 8, 1941. He is an American politician who has served as Junior United States Senator from Vermont since 2007 and as US Representative from the state at large congressional district from 1991 to 2007. Sanders is the longest serving independent in US congressional history, though he has a close relationship with the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders was born in Brooklyn borough of New York City. His father's name is Elias bin Yehuda Sanders and his mother's name is Dorothy Sanders. Bernie belongs to a Jewish family. In the 1940s, many of his relatives in Germany-occupied Poland were murdered in the Holocaust. Sanders studied at University of Chicago and graduated with Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science in 1964. Sanders ran for mayor of Burlington, Vermont in 1980 at the age of 39. Sanders was later re-elected 3 times, defeating both Democratic and Republican candidates. After serving 4 two-year terms, Sanders chose not to seek re-election in 1989. He went on to lecture in political science at Harvard University's Kennedy School of Government that year and at Hamilton College in 1991. Sanders was the first independent elected to the US House of Representatives since Frazier Reims of Ohio, as well as the first socialist elected to the House in decades. He served as a representative from 1991 until he became a senator in 2007. So on his website, Bernie Sanders talks about lots of issues and how he is going to resolve them. Due to time constraint, I cannot talk about all of the issues, so I will discuss about few of them. But if you want to know about all of the issues, you can visit his website berniesanders.com. There you can find out all of his policies, what is his stance on different issues, and if you like him, if you want to support him and you are a US citizen, then please donate to his website. First, I will start with his most famous policy, Medicare for All. His aim is to create a Medicare for All, single-payer national health insurance program to provide everyone in America with comprehensive health care coverage, free at the point of service. No networks, no premiums, no deductibles, no co-payments, no surprise bill. Medical coverage will be expanded and improved to include dental, hearing, vision, and home and community-based long-term care, inpatient, outpatient services, mental health and substance abuse treatment, reproductive and maternity care, prescription drugs, and more. Stop the pharmaceutical industry from ripping off the American people by making sure that no one in America pays over $200 a year for the medicines they need by capping what Americans pay for prescription drugs under Medicare for All. Next is College for All, guarantee tuition and debt-free public colleges, university, HBCUs, minority serving institutions, and trade school to all. Cancel all student loan debt for the some 45 million Americans who owe about 1.6 trillion and place a cap on student loan interest rate going forward at 1.88%. Invest 1.3 billion every year in private, non-profit, historically black colleges and universities and minority serving institutions, and equity gap in higher education attainment, and ensure students are able to cover non-tuition costs of attending school by expanding Pell Grants to cover non-tuition and fee cost, tripling funds for the work-study program, and more. Third, expand Social Security. Expand Social Security benefits for all recipients and protect pensions. Guarantee home and community-based long-term care services. Protect our most vulnerable seniors by quadrupling funds for the Older American Acts and expanding other programs seniors rely on. Expand and train the direct care workforce we need. Next, eliminating medical debt. Eliminate all of the 81 billion in the past due medical debt held by 79 million Americans, 1 in every 6 Americans. Reform bankruptcy laws to use the existing bankruptcy court system to provide relief for those with burdensome medical debt. Create a secure public credit registry to replace for-profit credit reporting agencies. Next, tax on extreme wealth. Establish an annual tax on the extreme wealth of the top 0.1% of the US households. Only apply to net worth of over 32 million, and anyone who has net worth of less than 32 million would not see their taxes go up at all under this plan. Will raise an estimated 4.35 trillion over the next decade and cut the wealth of billionaires in half over 15 years, which would substantially break up the concentration of wealth and power of the small privileged class. Ensure that the wealthy are not able to evade the tax by implementing strong enforcement policies. Next, high-speed internet for all. Provide 150 billion through the Green New Deal in infrastructure grants and technical assistance for municipalities and/or states to build publicly owned and democratically controlled cooperative or open access broadband networks. Requires that all internet service providers offer a basic internet plan that provide quality broadband speeds at an affordable price. Break up internet service provider and cable monopolies, bar service providers from providing content, and unwind anti-competitive mergers. Ensure broadband infrastructure is resilient to the effects of climate change. Next, income inequality tax plan. Companies with large gaps between CEO and median worker pay would see progressively high corporate tax rates. Apply to all private and publicly held corporations with annual revenue of more than 100 million. Tax increases for the rich. Pass for the 99.8% Act to establish a progressive estate tax on multimillionaires and billionaire inheritance, and special tax breaks on capital gains and dividends for the top 1%. Tax Wall Street speculators through the Inclusive Property Act financial transaction tax. Next, gun safety. Take on the NRA and its corrupting effect on Washington. Expand background checks. End the gun show loophole. All gun purchases should be subject to the same background check standards. Ban the sale and distribution of assault weapons. Assault weapons are designed and sold as tools of war. There is absolutely no reason why these firearms should be sold to civilians. Prohibit high-capacity ammunition magazines. Implement a buyback program to get assault weapons off the streets. Regulate assault weapons in the same way that we currently regulate fully automatic weapons, a system that essentially makes them unlawful to own. Crack down on straw purchases, where people buy guns for criminals. Support red flag laws and legislation to ensure we keep guns out of the hands of domestic abusers and stalkers. Ban the 3D printing of firearms and bump stocks. Next, legalizing marijuana. Legalize marijuana in the first 100 days with executive action. Vacate and expunge all past marijuana-related convictions. Ensure that revenue from legal marijuana is reinvested in communities hit hardest by the war on drugs. Ensure legalized marijuana does not turn into big tobacco. Next, jobs for all. Enact a federal jobs guarantee to ensure that everyone is guaranteed a stable job that pays a living wage. Create 20 million jobs as a part of Green New Deal. Rebuilding or crumbling infrastructure and creating 100% sustainable energy system. Create millions of healthcare jobs to support our seniors and people with disabilities in their homes and communities. Create new jobs in early childhood education. So these are some of his policies. Please let me know what are your views about it, whether you like them, whether you don't like them, whether you support Bernie or you don't support Bernie. Please let me know why do you support him or why do you do not support him. It's very important to do our research and not just based our opinion on what media says or what other people say. Follow your intuition. You know what's best for you. Think before you vote and don't be afraid of change. Bernie's policies may seem very radical and something which people are not used to, but some of these policies are being implemented in Canada, European countries and some other countries as well. So it's not like it is impossible to implement and be successful with these policies. Don't be afraid of change and please vote no matter who we are voting for. Vote is a power in your hands and please don't lose your power. Think carefully and vote carefully and stay safe.